Hi folks, Mike with ModSolar here today to show you our incredible new panel layout technology. Over the past few months we've been developing this incredible patent pending technology, and we're really excited about what it's going to do for you, how it's going to save you even more time than the ModSolar platform saves you today, and ultimately how we think it's going to change the way the industry looks at which panels belong on which roofs. So let's go ahead and get started. So you'll notice I'm here on my leads page. And I'm going to take an existing lead and just very simply add a proposal. Now, when I add a proposal, I do come to the name, usage, and address page where I'll simply just enter the usage and go ahead to map the system on the roof. Now, when I do that, you'll notice that the first big change is that the map page has changed in a good way, we think. We've done a little bit of a relayout. We've given you a much bigger map area to use. And what ends up happening with that map area is that we actually gain some zoom or gain some perspective and ultimately gain some visual fidelity when we take a look at a roof. So you'll notice that it's actually become a little bit easier to go ahead and place my points on the roof with more accuracy, along these roof edges. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right, and there's my one region. No real great changes here. We just removed some text from this pop-up box, and let me go ahead and create a second region. Okay, again, same thing you're doing today. We go ahead and click in the middle. Now you'll notice that the total DC watts has moved to the top right, still aggregating the two regions, however. And of course, we now have a sloped roof, a flat roof, or a ground mount radio button. Very important now that you tell the system correctly which one it is, because it will impact the way that the panels are laid out. So those are the changes on the map page. Let's go ahead and get into the fun stuff and lay out the panels. So what is happening now? You'll notice that your two regions are there on the roof, and boom, the panels pop up. So let's talk about what's going on in the background. We've taken the dimensions of the panels that you've added into the settings area of the ModSolar platform in the panels page. We're taking those dimensions, and we're taking the dimensions of the regions that you've drawn, and we're laying out panels inside of those regions in an optimal way. Meaning we actually run just over 2,000 different permutations to figure out which one fits the most panels within the given space based on the individual panel dimensions. But we didn't just stop with one panel. As you'll notice, I've got a ton of panels down here at the bottom. So we've actually run panel layout solutions, again, over 2,000 times to get the optimal for each of these panel solutions. All right. So this is a very powerful tool for comparing just which panel actually gets you the most AC kilowatts for the space. Now, let's talk a little bit about these boxes down here at the bottom. Each of these boxes is our panel layout solutions. All right, and they're being sorted by AC kilowatt production, again coming from PV watts. The orange text here is the AC kilowatt production from PV watts on a yearly basis, and you'll notice that we're actually sorting according to the AC kilowatt production. So the panels that give us high output and those that give us low are going to become very obvious here, very clear to you now when you actually generate a proposal. What else is in here? We've got the DC watts, of course, and the number of panels. But then you'll see I've got these free-form or edge-aligned labels. Free-form and edge-aligned. So let's talk about what each of them mean. An edge-aligned layout means that we've actually taken a roof edge and started laying out panels according to the roof edge. Okay? This is much in the same way as a human would do it, right? Except the computer is actually going to try all roof edges and see which one comes up with the optimal layout. So if that's the way you've done your system design before, you no longer need to do that. We've automated that for you. But what about this freeform? And you'll notice in this case, the freeform does get a few extra panels. Well, obviously this layout is much different than what you're using today. Why? Because the freeform is trying to squeeze panels in wherever it can. And specifically, it ignores the edges. Instead, and this is where it gets a little bit crazy, in our patent pending technology, ModSolar has actually employed what's called a genetic algorithm, meaning that the same science that taught us how to understand how chromosomes within cells replicate and mate can also be used to optimize panel layouts on a roof. Now, don't get me wrong, the first time I heard it, I was skeptical too. But the proof is in the pudding, and you can see that most of the free forms do get a significant number of panels more than the edge aligned. Of course, the free forms may not be practical from a business standpoint, and we 100% recognize that, which is why we give you both an edge aligned and a free form. In this case, the free form, this free form region may be possible, but this one, is definitely going to be more expensive to install. But if you've got a buyer that's willing to pay for it, you now have something that can design for it. Now, let's say, for example, that I'm working with this freeform and I'd actually like to delete this panel. Well, all I have to do is click on it. You see that I get a message saying, do you want to delete it? And if I say yes, it's gone, okay? And I can do that for as many different panels as I want in whatever region I want. Doesn't matter, okay? Now, you do have a few more things you can do on the screen, and we'll be adding options as the weeks go on here. The first thing you can do is you can actually change panel spacing. Now, this installer has a default of 1 inch and 1 inch, but 1 inch between panels and 1 inch between rows. But I'm going to change his between rows to 6 inches and rerun. Now, you'll notice when that happens, as you would expect, okay, we do get a different layout, and of course we fit less panels in the space. You'll notice that now we're in the 40s or the 30s most times instead of in the 50s, okay? And you can also see the different spacing represented when you click through the various panel solutions. So again, you can change panel spacing in between or between rows. Next, you can change mount type from this screen, okay? So if you change it to a flat roof, for example, you can get a panel tilt of 10 degrees. If you do, and you can set this as a setting, or you can change it here and have the system rerun. You can also do a ground mount. If you do a ground mount, for now, the system is assuming that your panel tilt will be your latitude, okay? But in this case, I'm going to leave it a sloped roof. You've got some help text here if you need it. All right, and what I do is I take my panel solution, all right, which I believe was, actually we ran, right? So I'll take this one and I will delete this one errant panel over here, okay? I'm going to take that one and I'm going to move on to the incentives page. So the system, of course, saves the panel type and the number of panels you chose, as well as the total production figures, and we take that information on to previewing a proposal. Now from this point on in the process, just a few changes here. The first thing is that you'll notice that we've gone with a bigger image and of course shown the panels on the roof here in the proposal. So that's good news right there. The rest of the proposal itself hasn't changed. The big change up here in the change button is you'll notice that DC watts is no longer in the change button. Why is it no longer in the change button? Well, because we've gotten more accurate with panel layout. Now if you want to go ahead and actually and change the layout of, change the system size, you'll have to go back to the panel layout screen and choose that panel layout again. We'll be making this part more intelligent so that it'll actually remember the one you chose in case you just want to remove a panel here or there. But for now, you'll rerun it and then choose a layout that works for you. So once we're done with all that, it's really just the same thing. You can go ahead and email the proposal or save it. And of course, it's been saved on your My Leads page so that when I go back to My Leads, I'll just go ahead and send it real quick so you can see. So that when I go back to My Leads now, I've got it, and there's the sloped roof. And when I click in it and open it, which is opened up on another screen, you'll notice now that, of course, it's available for the My Leads page. So that's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. We're very excited. Your feedback is, of course, welcomed and appreciated at any time, since this system is really to make your lives easier. I do have another video up on this same page where you can see me do a flat roof, so please go ahead and check that out. And of course, if you have any questions, we're always available here at ModSolar, either via email or phone. Thanks again, folks, and again, we look forward to speaking with you soon.